If you still can't fall asleep, then welcome to Sound from the Darkness. Night 3. Corpse Oil. Everyone longs for beauty, especially girls. They certainly won't yearn to grow old like Bayans. They spend large sums of money and time on the face, the skin, or other parts of the body. That's just how girls are, my friend said with a smile. I had no idea which women he had known, but what he said made sense. I once met a girl who was very pretty, with strikingly regular features, small and delicate. Her figure was good too, slender in the Eastern way yet still full. The kind where 1 degree less is too thin and 1 degree more is too fat. But when God opens one window, another closes. She had a flaw she could not escape. Her skin was very dark. Dark can be healthy, but in her case it seemed hereditary. We often say other countries are racist, yet ironically we ourselves are the quickest to shun those unlike us. Her co-workers often teased her. Some men did too. Even if a boy wanted to court her, gossip would make him shrink back. Funnier still, her job was only a few steps from a counter selling whitening cosmetics, which made her even sadder. But life had to go on. The girl, named Meizi, kept living that way until that day. When she told me about it, she was shaking all over, barely able to finish a sentence. I had to stop often and hold her. I grinned at my friend. He grinned back. Don't read into it. I only wanted to comfort her. A hug is the most relaxing kind of physical contact. Only after a long time did she calm down enough to continue. It was an ordinary weekend. Meizi, alone with a bag on her shoulder and a parasol against the sun, was walking along the pedestrian street. She bumped into another girl, who glanced at her and said with cutting sarcasm, so dark and still using a parasol. Pointless. Then she turned and left. Meizi was so angry she almost cried. You can lose weight if you're plump. You can fix crooked features. But the color of your skin is set in the womb. Meizi didn't believe in whitening products. Her sisters sold the stuff and knew it only wasted money. Thinking of this, she grew very dejected and wandered aimlessly. Suddenly, a luxury car shot past and screeched to a halt beside her, startling her. She was about to curse when a well-dressed young man stepped out. He looked a few years older than Meizi, tall and handsome. He kept his eyes on her face, making her embarrassed. She turned her body a little, but still felt his gaze like fire. I'm sorry, did I scare you? He said with an apologetic gesture. No, it's fine. What can I do for you? Meizi tried to sound gentle and polite, unlike her usual self. If you would do me the honor, have a meal with me. Sometimes things move along that smoothly. Meizi and the young man, whose name was Zhan Yue, quickly became friends who told each other everything. She marveled at the Creator's ways. Perhaps losing in one place wins you something in another. Her co-workers envied her for finding such a handsome, wealthy boyfriend. They even took to strolling the road under parasols themselves, hoping a rich young master might spot them, which at best produced a few traffic jams. At another tender date, Zhan, you suddenly said softly, Meizi, do you know why I loved you at first sight? No may be the will of the gods. She laughed. No, because you look so much like a childhood sweetheart of mine. You have her big eyes, straight nose, and mischievous mouth. Meizi felt a twinge of displeasure. So she was just a stand-in. Listlessly, she said, then why seek me out? Where is that girl? She's gone, he said, face darkening. Seeing his sorrow, Meizi also felt sad. A boy who cherishes the past is rare. Didn't that mean he was devoted? Thinking so, she even felt happy. In fact, being with you, I almost forgot her, he added. By the way, you always complain about your skin. My family has a secret ancestral recipe and oil that whitens. It's very effective. Why not try it? Does it work? I've tried many methods to no effect. She didn't want to refuse his kindness, but had little faith in such remedies. Believe me, it works. One happened to bring some today. Take it and try. If it works, keep using it. If our Meizi's skin turns fair, you'll be the most beautiful girl in the world. She accepted the small black bottle. Perhaps folk remedies are always mysterious, like a witch's potion in a fairy tale, full of allure and the unknown. At home, she tested a little on her hand. It really was oily, with a strange, acrid smell. But the effect was good. The next day, the spot she'd treated looked markedly different. Reassured, she applied it to her face. In the following days, her family and co-workers stared wider. They almost didn't recognize her. They say a fair skin hides 3 flaws. And on a girl already beautiful like Meizi, fairness made her shine like a pageant queen. Those who had mocked her now peered from the side, comparing their skin to hers. Black ink against white snow, and tugged their clothes to cover any exposed skin. They praised her and probed for her secret. She only smiled, grateful to Zhan Yue. Come to my place today. Let's have a candlelight dinner, he said, his gaze a little unfocused as her complexion. All right. It'll be my first time. I'll dress up tonight. Indeed, despite knowing each other so long, she had never been to his home and didn't even know where he lived. Dusk is always lovely, yet tinged with unease. In the car, wind from the speed made her squint. She only knew they drove a long time, long enough that the scenery became unfamiliar. We're here. He stopped by a villa, drove into the garage, and led her in. She felt the place was cold, though it was only August. She looked around, almost no other houses nearby. In the emptiness stood only his home, a stark rectangle. To put it bluntly, from afar it looked like a tombstone. The hand holding hers felt damp, perhaps from nerves. A young couple alone after dinner might naturally take the next step. She was not prudish, but not a libertine either. From the first day she'd been prepared. Yet when the day came, she was still nervous. He was her first boyfriend, after all. Inside, the villa proved lavish, filled with antiques and famous paintings she couldn't name. In the lounge stood a long dining table laden with steak, lobster, roast goose, red wine. Beside it, a fire burned in the hearth. Come, Meizi, he said, inviting her to sit. The food was delicious. He seemed happy and ate heartily, while she picked at her plate, sneaking glances at him, and noting that in this huge house there didn't seem to be a single servant. Do you usually live alone in a place this big? Aren't you afraid? No, it shouldn't count as alone, he said, looking at her. At least from today I won't be alone. I'll have you. Her face flushed like the red wine in the glass. Wine can intoxicate. Her fair, rosy face could too. He stared, dazed, then stood and embraced her. I'd like to shower first, she panted, held tight. He hesitated, then pointed upstairs. 2nd floor, 3rd door on the left. There's a robe, she dashed up, making a face at him at the top of the stairs. I'll be right back. He watched her back, expressionless, and drained his glass. She counted door by door on the 2nd floor when a harsh, familiar smell drifted from a room nearby. She knew it at once, the smell of the whitening oil he'd given her. She didn't know what force moved her, but instead of the bathroom, she stepped toward that room. With every step, the odor grew stronger. At the door, she had to pinch her nose, for it wasn't just foul, but stung the eyes. She turned the knob. Good. She glanced around. He must think she was in the bath. She would just take a look, see what this ancestral secret really was. Curiosity is human, especially in women. Here Meizi paused and took a deep breath. I understood. I too wanted to know what that magical whitening oil was. The room was small, but saturated with the stench, so strong it smarted the eyes. She thought many perfumes smell bad when too concentrated. Perhaps this was the same, but this smelled like rotting meat. She scanned the room. The floorboards were a dark green. There was only a black bottle, apparently catching something dripping from a large chest. That must be the oil. She approached the chest, about 1.5 people long, laid lengthwise in the corner. She pressed on the lid. It wasn't locked or nailed, but it was heavy and she didn't know what it was made of. With effort, she opened a narrow gap, raised her phone as a light, and peered in. She would never forget what she saw. The phone's pale blue beam fell right on an eye. Yes, an eye, a woman's eye, wide open, full of resentment and reluctance. She stumbled back several steps and collapsed. In movies, heroines scream when they see horrors. She had thought so too. Now she understood that in true terror, one cannot scream, no sound comes out. She jumped up to flee, then froze. Zhan Yue stood in the doorway with a rope in his hand. His face no longer wore its usual gentle kindness, but cold indifference. Why did you open this room? If there were no Xiao Xue, if I hadn't known her, perhaps I really would have loved you. I planned to let you die without pain, but your curiosity angered me. Since you want to know, I'll tell you everything. He strode in, tied her up, then knelt by the chest, speaking half to himself and half to her. I knew Xiao Xue from childhood. She was utterly kind, without scheming. I was born into a prominent family. She once was too, but as we grew up, her family's business collapsed. For so-called tycoons like us, money comes fast and goes faster. Soon her family had nothing and was in debt. Her father, unable to bear it, jumped to his death. Her mother went mad. She dropped out of a top university to care for her. I wanted to help, but she would never accept it. She was fiercely self-reliant. We had planned to marry after graduation, but my father refused and wanted me to wed a business partner's daughter. Desperate, I asked Xiao Xue to run away with me, but she could not abandon her insane mother. Perhaps if we had left then, the later tragedy would never have happened. His voice broke. Meizi was terrified, unsure what he intended, but she guessed the person in the chest was Xiao Xue. In the end, I married someone I didn't love. After Xiao Xue's mother died, we were together again. She asked for no title, only that I spend some time with her. Soon my wife and family learned of it. They stormed over to humiliate, scold, and beat her. The next day she took poison and died. I lost her forever. Then I saw Yu looked so much like her. He suddenly stood and flung the lid fully open. Meizi finally saw the whole body inside, a heavily decayed corpse. However lovely she had been, she was now a heap of rotten flesh, bloated and oozing corpse oil, with eyes still gaping like the living. See, aren't you two alike? Only you're much darker, he said, stroking the face smeared with putrefaction and maggots. Meizi could only stare. He was truly mad. I noticed you long ago. By luck, through many channels I learned of a TI sorcery called exchange art. Mix a dead person's corpse oil with a secret witch oil and rub it on another's face. That person will slowly come to resemble the dead. In the end, the dead can fully return in that body, exactly as before. So you chose me. Used that sorcery on me. Don't you find that cruel? I have no quarrel with you. Why not use it on your wife? She's the one who ruined Xiao Xue, Meizi protested. This art is much safer and faster between people who already look alike. Don't blame me. Blame your resemblance, he said, coming closer. Today is the last day. If you drink this oil, you'll completely become Xiao Xue. He brought the black bottle to her lips. She was terrified. The bottle held corpse oil. She struggled, but the rope was tight. The mouth of the bottle was at her mouth. She could see maggots floating in the black liquid and smell the hideous stench of decay. At that moment, she saw Xiao Xue's corpse rise from the chest. She thought she was seeing things, but it truly rose. Noticing Meizi's fixed stare past him, Zhan Yue turned. Xiao Xue was indeed standing, but moving very slowly. Crawling would be more accurate. Each crawl left a smear of corpse oil on the floor, like a snail's trail. Don't come closer. To Meizi's surprise, Zhan Yue seemed terrified, backing away in panic and tossing the bottle aside. He shouted while fumbling the door. As soon as it opened, the corpse sprang like a frog and leaped onto him, sticking fast. He howled and rolled on the floor, his voice fading, then lay still. Meizi inched over and saw that Xiao Xue's corpse, like a strong acid, had fused them into one. Zhan Yue's face was unrecognizable, just a pile of shredded flesh. She sat for dozens of minutes before recovering, freed herself, and called the police. That was the end of it. Later, she learned that Xiao Xue had wanted Zhan Yue to divorce, and in an argument he had strangled her. The sorcery he hoped for was to bind Xiao Xue's soul inside Meizi so she could not take revenge. Though she nearly lost her life, Meizi truly had made her skin white. Finishing the story, she gave a light smile and said that it was over and she would slowly forget. I took a while to come to my senses and asked, "How is Meizi now?" My friend smiled. Most things in the world we only hear secondhand. When Meizi said goodbye, I faintly saw red spots on her hand. Very small, but I wasn't mistaken. They were lividity marks. Lividity. I cried. Don't shout. Yes, lividity. I didn't say anything. Who could know what truly happened? I checked the news from that time and found no record, and only after the story passed through to a local police friend did. I learned the scene was too bizarre and was filed as a suspicious case. 2 bodies were indeed removed, 1 man and 1 woman in advanced decay. As for whether Meizi was still Meizi, who can tell? In truth, if she can simply live well from now on, live as an ordinary person, that's enough. My job is only to record it. I nodded thoughtfully. Dawn was near. The night story seemed over. I had just lain down to sleep when my friend's cat ran in from outside, filthy all over. Your cat is fun. I'll get one too. Like a toy, I said, pointing. The cat looked at me unkindly and growled. My friend said sternly, "Cats are very spiritual. If you knew the tale of the 8-tailed cat, you wouldn't say that. 8-tailed cat," I said, excited, though I knew he was going to sleep. "Yes, we'll talk at night." With that, he slept.